That night, the head of the Furude family, the priest, gathered his wife and Rika for a family meeting. It is Hinamizawa's tradition for the three families to gather and discuss the village issues. It's not unusual for big families like the Sonozaki family and Kimiyoshi family to have meetings beforehand to sort out opinions among themselves. However, the Furude family has lost its family branches, so there are only three people left in the main family. So they have never had a family meeting until this day. What is it you're being so formal? Is it about dam construction? The dam is the most important issue right now in the village. The wife assumes the priest wants to talk about the dam issue. For him to gather all the family members here, it must be a huge decision. Maybe he's going to talk about joining the pro-evacuation camp. No, it's not about the dam. It's about something extremely important which concerns this village, and perhaps the ancestors of the village too. The Furude family has served in priesthood and has worshipped Oyashiro-sama, the guardian deity of the village, for generations. So for him, the head of the family, to start out this way must be something extremely important. Yes, it says it's not about the dam. So what does he want to talk about? I married into this family, so I want you and Rika, who carry the true blood of the Furude family, to listen very carefully. You two are normal human beings. I'm the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, right? Rika, you shouldn't say such things. Dear, let's talk about things like that without Rika. She has heard enough nonsense from the old elderly people at the village hall already. What she just said about her being the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama appears to be true. What? It's rather a long story. Please just sit tight and listen to me. The wife has a dumbfounded expression on her face, not knowing what he is going to say, but Rika is clearly calm with her usual carefree expression. The priest starts to talk about after the wife calms down. There's a disease in this village that has been here for a long time. It's a special disease which only exists here in this area. Everyone who believes in this village has the disease. Not only the people who live here now, but all the ancestors who ever lived here had the disease. What? But we're all fine now. I've never heard of a disease exclusive to this village. Calm down. As long as we are here in the village, the disease won't cause any problems. But once you move away from the village, that's when it starts to act out. Do you understand? How can you expect me to understand such a thing? I have no idea what you're talking about. It's the same as the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Rika says it so calmly without the wife getting frustrated. While the wife gets frustrated. That's right. They say that when you leave this village you'll be cursed. It's just like that. In other words, the curse of Oyashiro-sama, which our ancestors have feared for generations, is actually a disease that only exists in this village. How could that be possible? We've left the village before. Other villagers too. Some have gone on business trips, and some even traveled to foreign countries. True. But that's probably because the disease is weakened over a long time. So it was supposed to disappear eventually. But the business with the dam messed up this process. As everyone knows, the whole village is heated up because of the dam. Such excitement and emotional instability make the disease worse. I still don't understand I don't know what you're trying to say. But what we thought were curses all this time were actually caused by the disease. That's right. All the rules Oyashiro-sama came up with were to protect the villagers from the disease. No way. So Oyashiro-sama is not a god but a disease. How could that be? How can I explain that to the Furude family ancestors? Calm down. The faith in Oyashiro-sama won't change. The fact that Oyashiro-sama is watching over Hinamizawa will remain the same. It's just that the disease which doubles as the curse of Oyashiro-sama has existed for a long time, that's all. Well, what you can just say is that Oyashiro-sama sends down the disease on anyone who leaves. That kind of thing. I won't accept that. How can I explain that to our ancestors? This is a desecration of the Furude family's age-old tradition. No, this is a desecration of Oyashiro-sama. Who told you such a thing? This isn't acceptable. In the first place, can you prove such a disease actually exists? I have the proof. What kind of proof? Who gave you that? The people from the Ministry of Health and the National Institute of Infectious Disease Prevention. They've already found the pathogen and they're searching for a cure right now. I saw the documents and the samples last week. The people at the Ministry of Health called the disease the Hinamizawa syndrome. No way. As long as you lead a normal life, the Hinamizawa syndrome is harmless. But once you go far from Hinamizawa, or if you become unstable emotionally, it's easy for the disease to manifest itself. When the disease acts out, you can be possessed by your own delusions, and in the worst case scenario, you can go mad. They found this disease during the war. A great scholar noticed that only the soldiers from Hinamizawa came down from abnormal disease, and he has been researching it all these years. They explained some details of the research, but sorry, they are too complicated for me to explain. If you don't believe what I'm saying, why don't you go listen to them yourself? I didn't believe them at first and thought they were trying to desecrate Oyashiro-sama, just like you. The Uri Clinic was built to study the syndrome. It appears to be just a clinic on the outside, but it's actually a secret research center to study the syndrome. To research in secret? That's ridiculous. If it's actually backed by the Ministry of Health, why don't they do it out in the open? Because they don't want to create paranoia. I guess they can't. For example, think about leprosy patients in the past who were misunderstood and rejected. They're still misunderstood and discriminated even today. If the whole country finds out about this and thinks everyone in Hinamizawa contracted this weird disease and can go mad at any time, it will turn into chaos. The Ministry of Health is working on developing a cure while keeping the disease a secret. Don't get me wrong though, they aren't trying to put us on display or anything. They're trying to eliminate the disease and free this village from it. It was a different story in the past when we supported ourselves, but nowadays it's impossible not to leave the village. If a simple act of leaving the village can trigger the disease, you realize how dangerous it is for the villagers, right? I've already said this before, but because of the anti-damp movement, the whole village is fired up, which is a very bad state for the Hinamizawa syndrome. If some villagers go crazy and do something horrible, there'll be a lot of media taking pictures. That's right. If that happens, it will be too late. But, how can I believe that? Are you sure you're dealing with people from the government? Are you sure you aren't being tricked? I don't blame you for not being able to believe it. I don't see what... Even if they weren't from the government, who cares? It's interesting. It's not like he's going to change anything. They said we can come take a look at the facility anytime. I've seen it before and I know no mere fraud could have set up something like that. Even the big hospitals in Gakura don't have such a large-scale equipment. If you can't believe that, what I just told you, you should go to the research center and ask questions. They can explain it better than I can. They said if their explanation isn't good enough, they can explain it to you at the National Research Institution in Tokyo, or even at the Ministry of Health's main office. Besides, me believing it or not, how are we related to that? It is said that the Furude family inherited the blood of Oyashiro-sama. And it is also said that if a girl was born for 8 continuous generations, the 8th generation girl would be the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. Me. That's right. I'm the 7th. And Rika is the 8th generation. But what does that have to do with the disease? The Hinamizawa syndrome is caused by a type of parasite. Although they're parasites, they're tiny. You can't even see them with the naked eye. They say there's a leader among these parasites. Are you saying that that's the Furude family? It appears that the leader of these parasites is passed down the generations, only by people with the direct bloodline to the Furude family. In other words, during the previous generation it was you. And now it's you, Rika. Me? That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Why would it be something as disgusting as parasites in the first place? Calm down. I'm not good at explaining things. Please have the experts explain it to you. According to them, studies into the parasite leader are necessary in order to research this disease. No! I won't have anything to do with such a super suspicious research, and Rika won't either. I'm telling you to calm down. They think the Hinamizawa syndrome acts out when separated from the parasite leader, not the village itself. When you were little, do you remember villagers telling you that you had psychic powers? You were able to cure elderly people who got migraines after taking a long trip? That's the proof you carried the parasite leader. The blood of Furude has the power to cure the people with the disease. To discover a cure is extremely important to the research. If they study me, will the villagers be saved? That's what they say. And all the villagers are infected. Me, everyone else. Satoko too? Yes. Not only the people who live in the village, but the relatives in Oknomiya too. I bet we are talking thousands of people. That's why the Ministry of Health spent so much money to build a specialized research center. I object. How can you let Rika be a sacrifice for such a suspicious research? I don't mind. If Satoko can be saved, I don't mind being a sacrifice. I really don't. But you be quiet, Rika. I absolutely refuse. I'll go talk to them and refuse them directly. I won't let them kill Rika for a crazy experiment. They're not gonna fucking kill your daughter. Calm down. Besides, Rika is the one and only heiress of the Furude family. What if something happens to her? The Furude family will die right there. Don't you see that? You must think more about the Furude family. That's why the villagers call you an opportunist. After all, don't you think it's odd? The Ministry of Construction is trying to submerge the village, and the Ministry of Health is trying to cure a disease? What the heck is going on? I mean, to be fair, you could be a little more calm. Because you're kind of freaking the fuck out over here. But, they're not going to kill your daughter, and you could also have another child if you're really worried about the bloodline of Furude. If you really cared about it, have another fucking child. The Ministry of Health has warned that this disease could be caused by a change in the environment. So they're actually trying to have the Ministry of Construction stop the damn construction site. You should go to the research center. Why would they build such a huge facility in a location that would be submerged? Wah. Rika makes a big yawn. It must be past her bedtime for a little girl like Rika. I'm going to bed now. Dad, please let them know I'm willing to participate, okay? Rika! You can't make such a decision without consulting me. Rika! Wait, Rika! Oh, God. Thank God, now I actually have some nice evidence. So can I do that yet? Since the Queen Carrier wanted to help? Yes, I can, thank you. To research the Hinamizawa syndrome, there's something very important that needs to be discussed first. If something happens to the Queen Carrier, the village will collapse. Even my grandfather called it the most dangerous situation in this article. According to my grandfather, if the Queen Carrier dies, all the infected people will reach the terminal phase within 48 hours. This may sound unbelievable at first, but research on the collapse of past local religions and group suicides around the world tells there is some truth to it. Among all the mysterious incidents around the world, there are some that are caused by parasites controlling entire communities, even similar to Hinamizawa syndrome. Grandfather picked a few cases that are very similar to the Hinamizawa syndrome and investigated them. As a result, he confirmed multiple cases of communities going crazy after the death of a religious leader or founder, and finally annihilating themselves. He stated that an average time is within 48 hours. It's clear that infected people are affected by the Queen Carrier, and the condition of the Queen Carrier is, in fact, affecting the entire village. The statistics show that there were more patients during the week Rika was sick. Rika being sick with a simple cold had a massive impact. High fever. If something happened to her, we'd be facing a serious situation within 48 hours. That's why the Uri institution has to protect Furude Rika, the Queen Carrier. It's their biggest mission in the Hinamizawa Syndrome research project. She has already agreed to help us in our research, but we have to be very careful not to put her in any danger. Also, we have to protect her from anybody who would try to harm her. Her life is equal to the lives of 2,000 villagers. But what if something happens to her by accident? The institution must be prepared for that situation. That's why I worked on a draft on an emergency manual when the Uri institution was first established. It's a precaution in case the Queen Carrier dies, or if infected people show acute symptoms due to the death of the Queen Carrier. This is an emergency procedure which must be followed within 48 hours of the mass occurrence of the acute symptoms. The final measure is to prevent the damage from spreading to nearby areas. The plan uses gas, making it look like a natural disaster. My client, the Alphabet Project, took the responsibility of working on the details of the plan. They're used to dealing with things like nuclear and biological weapons, so they're such a big help. There's no way I could have come up with a plan that would execute 2,000 villagers. The Ground Self-Defense Force secured a closed quarry in the Yaguchi region, upstream of Hinamizawa, through a dummy company. It is to be a secret storage base for the suppression operation equipment. The deadly gas equipment that kills people as if they are falling asleep is stored there. In the case of an emergency, the special unit of the Ground Defense Force is to use this equipment to suppress the villagers. However, the preparation of the execution of the villagers itself is politically dangerous. So, if I'm going to insist on them getting the equipment ready, I have to make them understand how dangerous the Hinamizawa syndrome is. And also how urgent the need to have a contingency plan is. I have to prove the need for the plan by showing them data. So the files my grandfather kept intact come in extremely handy. When the clients read my grandfather's articles about the syndrome, they were surprised to see how catastrophic things could be in the worst-case scenario. In other words, if something happens to this girl, the Queen Carrier, all 2,000 of the villagers will become deranged. Is that what you're saying? Yes. There have been several cases similar to the Hinamizawa syndrome where group suicides took place. In the case of the Hinamizawa syndrome, you can easily expect extreme defensive behavior, which results from strong paranoia. The results may affect over 2,000 carriers. From there on, we may force abnormal situations like lawless violence and bizarre religious despondence. We must be ready to face such a situation by having a contingency plan, otherwise we'll draw attention from the whole world. We have to remember that we only have 48 hours to respond once it happens. Are you saying that if it happens, there's nothing anyone can do? Can you treat everyone within 48 hours? That would be impossible. We don't have enough to have a cure, and we don't even have a cure, and the research center isn't capable of taking in the whole all the villagers. How scary to realize such a disease actually exists. The world is full of mysteries. As the self-defense department, we must be prepared for the worst-case scenario. That's the Alphabet Project's belief too. Executing the plan is not desirable, but that's important to be prepared. That's true. You're right. I still have to discuss the rules of application regarding the strengthening of the approval distinctions. For now I understand there's a need to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Let's have the Urban Suppression Warfare research team simulate the suppression operation in the Hinamizawa region. I think we should get it going as soon as possible. There's a possibility that the Queen Carrier girl might be hit by a car or be killed at any moment. Thank you, Major Takano. We have further questions for you, so you can sit down. Thanks to a push from one of my backers, things were decided without too much of a problem. It took me almost all day to explain to them, but it only took a short time to come to a decision. Nobody criticized, ridiculed, or tried to reject my grandfather's article. And today, in the files they were reading, there are articles of my grandfather that were insulted by big-shot authorities in the past. But they don't ridicule the articles. They're reading what was once rejected. It is nothing big at a glance, but this is the moment when my grandfather's research is recognized for the first time. My heart is filled with satisfaction as I see people discussing while pointing it to my father's files and raising them as arguments. I've worked hard for this day. Grandpa in heaven, can you see this? Interesting. God, so much information. No, not yet. Any of these? She had a cold, so does that count as high fever? No, it doesn't. The Shinto priest needs to contact the array institution. Yes. The gathering place inside of the Furude Shrine is in fact the headquarters of the Onagafuchi Guardians. The place should be calm and quiet since it's the shrine, but there are anti-dam signs everywhere. Obviously, these are the headquarters of the anti-dam movements. There are over 30 members of the Guardians here, and they're having a heated conversation about the plans for the future. Although the meeting place is in the Furude family's property, it is a community facility, so it closes at 9 p.m. Of course, sometimes a discussion gets heated and it goes on past closing time, but meetings are supposed to end by 9. If a discussion ends early, they usually chit-chat until 9 p.m. That is what usually happens. Of course, they mostly talk about the dam, even when they chit-chat. They talk about things like someone's mistreatment at the government office, or someone getting arrested unjustly, or complain about people at the dam construction site that are too violent. Since it's chit-chatting, people get rather emotional, and they often badmouth the Hojo family too. Then she threw those circulation notes away. Can you believe that? That woman is crazy. The other day she argued with Makino's grandma at the local trash collection area. You know. The husband is so rude. He is so irrational too. Didn't you see him at the explanatory meeting? That was bad, huh? Can't believe they're still here. I wish they'd get out of here. He said something about money and stuff. He has absolutely no shame. No. If you talk about being irrational, his wife is the same or even worse. It must be hereditary. I see their daughter shopping quite often, so I say hello to her, but she never replies. Can you believe that? So I get tired of it and I don't say anything to her anymore. Hey, their son always looks so depressed, doesn't he? By now the Hojo family has become the enemy of the village. Bad-mouthing the Hojo family is a common topic for everyone. If he had known how powerful the three families of the village were, especially the Sonozaki family, and if he had known Oryu's character, he wouldn't have said the things he said. The Hojo couple are residents of of the village. Although they don't participate in the village activities, they must know what kind of person Oryu is. I'm sorry, but he was kind of stupid. Yeah, he wasn't saying the wrong things, but he was still being stupid. He could have imagined just what would happen to him if he talked to her that way. Yet he let his anger take over and spoke those abusive words. So most people think the Hojo family brought their isolation upon themselves. If they wanted to negotiate with the government regarding the move, they should have done it privately. Yet he was foolish enough to express himself at a public gathering like that. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but he really could have handled that better. So not too many sympathize with the Hojo family. Ever since the big fight at the explanatory meeting, the Sonozaki family has looked at the Hojo family as their enemy, and he started to go after them. That caused the rest of the pro-Dam people to become afraid of becoming a scapegoat, so they reluctantly switched sides. Even those people have started to think that if the Hojo couple hasn't fought, they could have gotten compensation from the government. Both the anti-Dam and pro-Dam people hate the Hojo family now, and the family has become even more isolated. Moreover, the Hojos are both very aggressive, and they should have stayed quiet at the least until things settled down, but they didn't. That alienated the handful of people who took pity on them as well, so now nobody even says anything to them. Hearing what I hear at the gathering place, it is apparent. Rika is helping out by putting the teacups away, but I'm sure she hears what they say as well. One of the Hojo family members they're bad-mouthing is Rika's friend, Satoko. It hurts to think what Rika is feeling hearing that. As a priest of the Furude Shrine, should I let this go on? Oyashiro-sama is a god who makes peace between enemies. When the humans and demons fought, he descended from heaven and quelled the war between the two sides. As the caretaker of the shrine, I must do something before it goes too far. I sit next to Oryu, who is spitefully bad-mouthing the Hojo family. So that ass was talking shit to me. So who the hell cares? He'll be cursed by Oyashiro-sama, that's for sure. The elderly people cheer for her as they listen to her speak. If I barge in now, I have a feeling it won't be a peaceful conversation. But I make up my mind, as the priest of the Furude Shrine. Also for the sake of Rika's friend, Satoko. Oryu, don't you think you've bad-mouthed Hojo enough by now? Huh? What the hell are you trying to tell me? Oh, you dumb motherfucker. What the kind of hell is the way to approach that topic? The hell? You couldn't have approached that any, more subtly? No. Not at all.